Global War 36 enthusiast here with Operation 20 Corps, turn 5.5, Commonwealth. It is July 1938. The Commonwealth has two tech rolls. First, I tried for amphibious doctrine at a 7 or higher. PB generated a 3, so I failed. Second, I tried for long-range aircraft at an 8 or higher. PB generated an 11, so I succeeded. Advanced to stage 2. Purchases. Great Britain has 16 IPP to spend. They will purchase 3 militia for 6, 1 infantry for 3, that's 9, 1 airborne infantry for 3, that's 12, and 1 anti-aircraft artillery for 4, that's 16. FEC has 7 IPP to spend. I will purchase 1 anti-aircraft artillery for 4 and save 3 IPP. ANZAC has 6 IPP to spend. I will purchase 1 infantry for 3 and save 3. Previewing the French, they have 10 IPP to spend. I will purchase 3 militia for 6 and Lend-Lease in anti-aircraft artillery for KMT for 4. That's 10. Okay, combat movement. I reached out to both Boston Bruce and Panzer J about these combat moves, and they both declined to declare war with Germany, Italy, or Japan. So let's start over here. From Calcutta, this ANZAC naval transport will leave port to C-Zone A11 and then move over to C-Zone P41, so 1 to A12, or I'm sorry, I-12, 2 to P50, 3 to P41. Let's see, next one I think I have is down here. Oh, no, I believe this is the next one. From C-Zone I-7, 1 naval transport moves 1, 2 to 3 to M8. So 1 to I-4, 2 to I-5, 3 to M8, and then goes in port in Lower Egypt. From Gibraltar, 1 naval transport will leave port to C-Zone A44 and move up to C-Zone A21 and then go in port in southern England. Later in the turn, I'll be moving that naval transport back down, doing the swapperoo. So essentially they aren't, it's just one for another. All right, down in South Africa, the naval transport will leave port to C-Zone I-1 carrying this infantry. It'll pick up the anti-aircraft artillery from Cape Town and then move 1 to I-3, 2 to I-4, 3 to I-5, drop off the infantry and anti-aircraft artillery in Lower Egypt and go in port in Lower Egypt. Okay. From C-Zone A21, up here in A21, on that task force card, there's 2 destroyers and 2 torpedo boat destroyers, and they will move into C-Zone A20. From Gibraltar, 1 heavy cruiser, down here, 1 heavy cruiser, 1 light cruiser will leave port to C-Zone A44. Then from C-Zone A44, 1 light carrier, 1 fighter, 2 heavy cruisers. Let's see, 1 light carrier, 1 fighter, 2 heavy cruisers. That force will move to A20. 1 to A35, 2 to A27, 3 to A20. Okay, back down here to A44. 2 destroyers will move to A28. And then they will go on convoy escort duty. From C-Zone A44, 1 destroyer will move to A18 and go on convoy escort duty. From C-Zone A20, 1 destroyer, 1 torpedo boat destroyer will move to A19 and go on escort duty. From C-Zone A44, 1 destroyer will move to C-Zone A35 and go on escort duty. From C-Zone A44, 1 light carrier with a tactical bomber, 2 British light cruisers, 1 Anzac light cruiser, 1 Anzac, is that right? 1 Anzac destroyer? 1 Anzac destroyer, but I've got this extra destroyer. I feel like I'm missing something. Let's see. Let's see, I've got that there. I'll have this guy go on escort duty. This 1 destroyer will go on escort duty there in A44. And then this group that I just named, they will move over to M2. So that's a light carrier with a tactical bomber, 2 British light cruisers, 1 Anzac light cruiser, 1 Anzac destroyer, 1 British submarine. So we have a total of 2 British submarines there. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Okay. You know what? I realized this one I didn't want it to go on convoy escort duty in A44. I want it to go to A27 and go on escort duty up there. That's what I missed one of my orders. That guy is up there in A27. Okay. Now, I think that is the end of my combat movement. So let's do non-combat movement. From London, 1 militia will move over to southern England. So we'll have 2 there in southern England. I had said earlier that I'd move this naval transport that came up from Gibraltar. So the one that's starting there leaves port, moves over, it's doing strategic naval movement, moves over to A22, picks up these 2 infantry. And then strategic naval moves 4 more spaces down to A44, drops off 2 infantry in Gibraltar, and goes in port in Gibraltar. So that'll bring us up to 3 infantry in Gibraltar. From Gibraltar, a seaplane is going to fly to Southwest Africa. So 1 space to A44, a second space to A46, third to A48, fourth to A51, fifth to whatever this one is at St. Helena, and 6 land in Southwest Africa. From southern England, 1 medium bomber will fly to Gibraltar. All right. Over here in Sea Zone A21, there's a battleship, a battlecruiser, and a coastal defense ship. They will move to A22 and then go in port in London. All right. Over here in Western Egypt, this infantry will move to Lower Egypt, bringing us up to 4 infantry there in Lower Egypt. From Lower Egypt, 1 air transport is going to fly back to Gibraltar. From Sea Zone I5, the coastal sub will move up 1 space to Sea Zone the coastal sub from I4 will move to I5. That's what I should have said. Okay. Let's see here. From Delhi, way over here in Delhi, I'm going to have the FEC Infantry Strategic Rail move to Calcutta. That'll bring me up to 6 FEC infantry in Calcutta. From southern India, 1 infantry, there's a British infantry, 1 British infantry, 1 British anti-aircraft artillery will move into Calcutta. That'll bring me up to 2 British infantry there and 2 British anti-aircraft artillery there. Okay. I think that's all my movements. So placement of units. Down here in Sydney, I'm gonna add 1 infantry. Sydney is, Anzac is at 5. I saved 3, so I end the turn with 8. FEC, I purchased an anti-aircraft artillery. I'll put that in Calcutta, bringing me up to 2 FEC anti-aircraft artillery there. And they saved 3. They're at 7, so they end the turn with 10. Great Britain. I'm going to put an infantry down in Cape Town. And then I'm going to put a 1 militia in Cyprus. And then I'm going to put 2 militia in southern England. That'll bring me up to 4 militia there. And I'll place an airborne and an anti-aircraft artillery in London. Okay. And then collect income. England's at 16, so they end the turn with 16. Now we'll proceed to France's turn. I have 1 tech roll for long-range aircraft. PPE generated a 5, so France failed. Okay, we went over the buys. It's 3 militia, and then lend-leasing the KMT and anti-aircraft artillery. So combat movement. From C-Zone A27, 1 torpedo boat destroyer will move to A18 and go on escort duty. From C-Zone A44, 1 destroyer will move to A27 and go on escort duty. From A44, 1 will move to C-Zone A35 and go on escort duty. From C-Zone A46, a light cruiser and a destroyer will move to C-Zone M4 and go on escort duty. From C-Zone M1, 2 naval transports will strategic naval move to C-Zone I-5. In C-Zone A21, 1 battleship will move to A6 and another battleship will move to A23. So one goes 1, 2, 3 to A6 and the other one goes 1, 2 to A23. Okay. In France itself, 3 militia will, or from Normandy, 3 militia move to Paris. Brings us up to 9 there in Paris. 9 militia. From Alsace-Lorraine, 1 artillery will strategic rail move to Normandy. Oh, I skipped some 2 orders up here. From Normandy, 1 fighter flies to A21 and goes on map. And from Morocco, French Morocco, 1 medium bomber flies to A44 and goes on map. Okay, let's see what else we have here. From southern France, 1 infantry strategic rail moves to Normandy. From Paris, 4 infantry move to Normandy. That brings me up to 9 infantry in Normandy. 1 is in Paris. I think that might be everything. Let's just check it out. Yep, I think that's everything. Okay, so I'm going to place 2 more militia in Paris, which will get me up to 11 militia there. 1 militia will go in Aquitaine. And then Paris will construct the anti-aircraft artillery that's being lend-leased to KMT. It will embark here in southern France. Then it'll move M1, M3, M6, M7, M9, and refuel in Syria. Then it'll move M9, M8, I5, I4, I3, and refuel in Madagascar. I did ask Italy if they want to interdict. They did not, because that would make Italy vulnerable to an Allied declaration of war when they hit full production. Refresh here in Madagascar. Then 1 I3, 2 I4, or no, 1 I3, 2 I8, 3 I10, 4 I12. I reached out to Boss and Bruce, but I have my phone on airplane mode, so I don't know what his response is. If he does want to interdict with the Japanese coastal sub, then we will PBE that. If it survives, then the 5th move would be to here, drop off the anti-aircraft artillery in Cochin, China, and then rail up to Yunnan. So that will add 1 anti-aircraft artillery in Yunnan. That's something to be dispositioned. Okay, so the French spent everything. They collect 10. They have 10 for next turn. So let's do disposition of forces. Why don't we do this area? Hong Kong has an infantry. Sarawak has a militia. British Ceylon has a militia. I'm sorry, British Malaya has a militia. Ceylon has a militia. Southern India has a militia. Calcutta is 2 British infantry, 6 FEC infantry, 2 Anzac infantry, 1 Gurkha, 2 Anzac artillery, 2 FEC anti-aircraft artillery, 2 British anti-aircraft artillery. Down in Sydney, 2 infantry, 1 motorized infantry, North and South Island with a militia each. In C-Zone I-5, 4 French submarines, 2 naval transports, 1 British coastal submarine. In South Africa, 1 infantry. In Southwest Africa, 1 seaplane. In Lower Egypt, on the north side in port is a naval transport. On the south side in port are 2 heavy cruisers, 1 destroyer, 1 naval transport. Lower Egypt must have 5 infantry, 1 militia, 1 anti-aircraft artillery. Okay, and Cyprus has a militia. Malta has a militia. C-Zone M2 has a light carrier with a tactical, 2 light cruisers, 1 Anzac light cruiser, 1 Anzac destroyer, 2 submarines. Gibraltar in port, there's a 2 battleships, a heavy cruiser, and a naval transport. In Gibraltar, 1 militia, 3 infantry, 1 mountain infantry, 2 anti-aircraft artillery, 1 air transport, 1 medium bomber. In C-Zone A44, a French medium bomber on map. In C-Zone A35, a British and French destroyer on escort duty. In C-Zone A28, 2 British destroyers on escort duty. In Sea Zone A27, 1 British destroyer, 1 French destroyer on escort duty. In Sea Zone A20, 1 light carrier with a fighter, 2 heavy cruisers, 1 destroyer, 1 torpedo boat destroyer. In Sea Zone A19, on escort duty, 1 destroyer, 1 torpedo boat destroyer. In Sea Zone 18, 1 British destroyer, 1 French torpedo boat destroyer on escort duty. In Sea Zone A21, 1 French fighter on map. In Northern England, 1 militia. In Southern England, 4 militia, 2 infantry, 1 anti-aircraft artillery, 1 fighter, and a naval transport in port. In London, 1 militia, 1 airborne, 1 anti-aircraft artillery. In port, 1 battleship, 1 battle cruiser, 1 coastal defense ship. In Sea Zone A6, a French battleship. In Sea Zone A23, a French battleship. I believe that is everything. Next up is Panzer J with Italy 5.7. Oh, I didn't do Paris proper. Sorry about that. In Normandy, 10 infantry, 1 mountain infantry, 1 foreign legion, 2 motorized infantry, 1 artillery. In Paris, 11 militia, 1 infantry, 1 anti-aircraft artillery. In Alsace-Lorraine, 4 militia. In Aquitaine, 1 militia.